And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
A lot happens in a week these days. That was exactly 1 week ago when President Trump talked up disinfectants, a dangerously ignorant statement that spawned days of controversy and government corrections. And the issue there, and the issue tonight, is not fundamentally about ideology or politics. It's about science and truth. Government ignorance about science is dangerous during a pandemic. You know that. We know that. Maybe sometimes he doesn't know that. Today's problems are a long way from how presidents in both parties have tried to approach medical science, especially during crises. Here was President Obama in his very first inaugural address.
We will restore science to its rightful place and wield technology's wonders to raise healthcare's quality and lower its cost.
That was the asserted priority coming into office. He wanted people to know in the inaugural that science would matter, and he went on to take the restrictions that were on stem cell research and lift them. He went on to order federal agencies to maintain scientific integrity. He also joined the Paris Climate Accords, which he argued was a direct response to climate science. In fact, all the way back in 2010, it was Barack Obama who actually held the first ever White House science fair with students.
Because the United States has always been a place that loves science. We're here to celebrate these young scientists and visionaries. There's the folks who are going to come up with cures for diseases and new sources of energy and help us build healthier and more successful societies.
President Obama also happily leaned into the nerdier side of these things. Here he was firing a student's marshmallow cannon, all to prop up, to engage with, to show in a very real way all the different methods we can use from education to the rest of our lives to work with science. Now, of course, it's not all science fairs and games. The United States faced swine flu in Obama's first year on the job. And because we think this is relevant now, we want to show you exactly how that president led the country during a scary time of infectious disease, stressing the approach of his administration would be scientists taking the lead.
Our capacity to deal with a public health challenge of this sort rests heavily on the work of our scientific and medical community.
And as our scientists and researchers learn more information about this virus every day, the guidance we offer will likely change. What will not change is the fact that we'll be making every recommendation based on the best science possible.
That is what it looks like when a president warns the country very directly and speaks to them like they're adults to tell you, hey, some of this may change over time because we're learning as we go, but every recommendation will be rooted in science. That was the standard. Now Donald Trump claims he doesn't expect a second wave of coronavirus in the fall, publicly at odds with the experts who say it's inevitable. The last president took a different tack on the same issue 10 years ago.
We know that we usually get a second, larger wave of these flu viruses in the fall, and so response plans have been put in place across all levels of government. Our plans and decisions are based on the best scientific information available, and as the situation changes, we will continue to update the public.
A president warning you the flu can come back rather than pretending it won't. Obama had a similar approach dealing with Ebola.
And we have to be guided by the science. We have to be guided by the facts, not fear.
He went on to make a public display meeting with a Dallas nurse who was recovering from Ebola and gave her a hug right there for the nation to see. If you go further back before the presidency, Senator Obama also discussed publicly his worries about the very kind of crisis we now face.
Since coming to the Senate 6 months ago, one of the foreign policy and health issues I've focused on relates to the avian flu. We must face the reality that these exotic killer diseases are not isolated health problems halfway around the world, but direct and immediate threats to the security and prosperity here at home.
For all the talk about what you can predict and what you can be prepared for, it is instructive right now to look at which types of approaches work. which types of risk management. It was in that same legislative body, the U.S. Senate, where that senator made clear he wanted scientists making the big decisions.
Who's going to be responsible for deciding that a quarantine in some circumstances is warranted? Do you think it would make sense to have yourself or Dr. Fauci or others, somebody who was saying, you know what, I am keeping track of all this stuff?
I hope I can help. I know this has been obviously a back and forth confusing issue. In reality, we're talking about something that's overwhelmingly a health issue.
We all know what we're dealing with right now. Back when Donald Trump was drawing Sharpie lines on a hurricane map, that was dangerous misinformation for those who were in the storm's path. That was part of the country. Now you can look at this and it's like we're drawing Sharpies all over the world map with the worst pandemic in a century, with potentially catastrophic life and death consequences. And you have the questions about what happens to our safety when you have the misinformation coming directly from the White House, when you have scientists suppressed and basically ousted or sidelined because they disagreed with the president. None of that is supposed to be normal in the White House.
Promoting science isn't just about providing resources, it's also about protecting free and open inquiry. It's about letting scientists like those who are here today do their jobs, free from manipulation or coercion, and listening to what they tell us, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. It is about ensuring that scientific data is never distorted or concealed to serve a political agenda, and that we make scientific decisions based on facts, not ideology.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.